So we've been talking about a lack of classes, so I decided to put together a class, and since I'm not very good at classes, I decided to do something that I think I'm pretty good at, and that's building projects. So I designed a class around building a project or a series of classes. So the concept is like teaching through practical applications. So for me to learn, I need some gold. And this class is going to be about building a smart thermostat. So it takes into like Arduino and not all, but some of the components that you can get off the shelf, put them together with some software to create this function. And it goes on to, so basically it's a series of 8 classes or more. They're targeted sort of standalone because they're themed based. Each class is going to be about some element of the overall project. And it all uses off-the-shelf stuff. So the basic thermostat is going to use a temperature and humidity sensor, LCD display, 2 lines by 16 characters, a rotary encoder for menus and setting temperature, real-time clock with memory to set scheduling type stuff and to remember what temperature it is when it loses power. There's a PC board design and fabricate beginners kind of class, as well as CNC for like the laser cutter and 3D printing. So that's kind of the basics. Some of the advanced kind of functions would be to add Wi-Fi to it, say a carbon monoxide sensor, a larger graphics display, extra buttons, motion detection to turn off the backlight when nobody's there on the display, remote thermostats or zoning or outdoor air temperature feedback you can do over Wi-Fi. And this is all based on finding enough people interested in doing a class. So the target is to do about 8 classes, but if there's interest in these other features, then we can have a class on those. So the first class is basically getting a breadboard set up, so a block of 830 pin pluggable breadboard kind of blocks with jumper wires, and you plug in the components like the Arduino Nano, temperature sensor, and the display. So it'll go through and load the drivers and get you to write some code just to experiment with it. So this is basically learning what a Arduino is. It goes into some of the history and where it came from, and getting through just the elementary elements of working with a microcontroller, hooking up something, seeing something happen. So the classes are based on like about 20 to 30 minutes of lecture, and the rest of it's hand-on playing with it. The second class would be a little more of the same, relays, rotary encoder, real-time clock, learning how to use those, how to program them, what to read, printing out results, that sort of thing. So you'll need a laptop at least, and the kit of parts. So the third and fourth classes really go into more of the thermostat function. This is to, what is a thermostat? What are the key things that you have to do? For example, most people don't realize that a thermostat, if it has a power failure, keeps the air conditioner off compressor off for at least 5 minutes. You don't want to start the compressor when it's on load. So these are the kind of things that are built into thermostats. So it goes into the architecture of a thermostat, all the different features that you can or want to put in. So for example, because I'm going to use a humidity sensor, you can get a comfort zone thermostat out of it. Not only regulated by temperature, but regulated by the amount of humidity in the air and the temperature. These are options. And then the fifth class is schematic entry for a program called KeyCAD. This would be entering the schematic for the thermostat so that we can make a board to plug all the parts into, and you could put it on your wall. It'll also include a power supply section so you can get power from the 24 volts AC that is part of your air conditioning system. And then class 6 would be related to actually building a PC board or designing a PC board and laying that board out, placing the components, connecting the traces to them, and design of that board. And then 7 would be 2D CAD design, very introductory stuff, so that we can build the faceplate for the thermostat with the laser CNC. And then the 8th class is 3D printing the bottom half of the case so you can mount it on the wall. And then here's an example of what a class would be like for adding Wi-Fi to it. If there's enough interest, we could do a basic soldering class so that you can solder it together yourself after you get all the components and all the pieces. So the intent is to have it standalone. You can take all the classes or just the classes you're interested in. Initially, the kit of parts is available. You pay for that, you get them whether you take the class or not. So details of the class is I need to order parts. It takes about 30 days to get parts from China. And this is in order to keep the price of the kits very inexpensive. So the first 2 classes, $20 for the first kit of parts, $10 for the second kit of parts. But because of the 30-day time frame, it's best to order those up front. So I'm trying to collect for those before we, so we can order the parts before we have the class. And the intent is to, encourage and promote more classes, show people what can be done with Arduino, just as an example, outreach to the community, and part of the instructor fee goes to support Hackerspace, 50%. And of course, to have some fun. And my background is 30 years hardware engineer. I worked for IBM and Intel. And I'm not a programmer. I'm what I consider a hacker, and that's somebody who uses their knowledge and others to solve a problem, develop something, or that sort of thing. So if you have any programming experience, you probably know more than I do, at least if it's official. And I'm open to suggestions for changes or what have you. I'll be learning some of this as we go along with you, hopefully a week or 2 ahead, but that's about it. Any questions?
Where do we go to sign up?
I have a syllabus on a table back there. There's a email address. You email your interest, and I will collect those interests, and when I can get at least 10 people of interest that are willing to pay for it, I will start the countdown, order the parts, collect money, and we can go from there.
Parts cost nothing, it sounded to me like. How about the instructor? What's
The total fee for the first 2 classes is $70. $30 worth of parts, and 2 classes of $20 each. Each class, the instructor fee is $20. Only the first 2.
The instructor fee, you have to pay the instructor fee for nothing either.
Not a whole lot. I've looked around at some places. They want you to buy a $150 kit plus $70 for the class, and it's
very reasonable. Okay.
so.
What is your target group? Your target group.
Target group?
Target team.
Anybody that's got any interest in Arduino control systems, just interest in electronics.
Do they need any experience?
Not really. I plan to make this very simple and have it pre-formatted so that it is easy to understand.
Any ages that you consider
Ages? Probably, 14, 15 and up.
Wouldn't you have to know how to type, or would you have to know?
You pretty much have to, you need to know how to use a computer. So you need a laptop and the ability to load programs and operate them. I mean, I've seen 12 years olds that can do it. I've seen 50-year-olds that can't. So most of this is all introductory. It's going to be structured around, plug this here, plug that wire there, and here's the schematic, here's what you need to plug.
What's the upper limit for the class? I mean, it seems like you'd have no trouble getting people from UF or Santa Fe to sign up or something like that.
During the summer, I have no idea. Minimum was 10, and the maximum was 14 because we have 7 tables. I figure 2 people per table. So once I can get 10 people committed, I can order parts. Any other questions? Thank you.